May 13, 2018 2:21 p.m., Saturday Night Live cast members introduced their moms on the show. Saturday Night Live cast members brought their moms on set for a special tribute ahead of Mother's Day in which the matriarchs made fun of the program's preoccupation with President Trump and mocked its perceived liberal slant. Normally we open this show with a political sketch, which can sometimes be divisive. But since tomorrow is Mother's Day, we're going to focus on the one thing we can all celebrate together, moms. Aidy Bryant started Saturday's episode, with mother Georgianne in tow. Kenan Thompson then asked Mom Ann whether she enjoyed the cast's sketches. "I do, except for all political stuff. We get it," she replied. Weekend Update host Colin Yost was joined by mother Carrie, who approved of Alec Baldwin's impression of Trump but wanted to know why they were so mean. "Who writes that stuff?" she inquired, before Yost jokingly denied having anything to do with the scripts. Luke Knowles' mom Cindy questioned her son over the lack of Cricket Hillary material, while Mikey Day's mother Sylvia compared the witch hunt of Trump to Day's high school production of The Crucible. Chris Redd's mom added they should be focused on Jesus instead of the president. Watch the segment below. Former President Barack Obama plans to take visitors of his presidential center to a new reality with an augmented video reality experience that will allow people to see the Oval Office just as he did while in the White House. Michael Avenatti, the lawyer representing porn star Stormy Daniels, on Monday threatened to sue Daily Caller reporters if they continue to write hit pieces about him, hours after the publication wrote that Avenatti never paid a former business associate more than $160,000 for coffee beans. Wells Fargo expects growth limits imposed by the Federal Reserve after widespread customer abuse claims to last until next year as the lender incorporates the central bank's recommendations into Chief Executive Officer Tim Sloan's reforms. The White House never misses an opportunity to point out how this president followed through. It's even become an official slogan of this administration: promises made, promises kept. President Trump needs to start paying more attention to his intelligence briefings. Consider the absurd tweet that Trump posted on Sunday. Tweet: Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, DNY, said Monday that moving the U.S. Embassy in Israel to Jerusalem was long overdue, and praised President Trump for finally following federal law. Senate Democrats on Wednesday will override Republican leaders and force a vote to begin debate on a bill to restore net neutrality regulations that were eliminated by the Federal Communications Commission. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of a Louisiana death row inmate whose defense attorney admitted his guilt over his objections, and said in its Monday ruling that a defendant has the right to insist that his lawyer refrain from admitting guilt even when the lawyer disagrees. White House senior advisor Jared Kushner touted the prospects of an Israeli-Palestinian peace process at the opening of the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem on Monday, even as mass protests raged on the border of Israel and Gaza. Drivers of a rental car whose names are not listed on the rental agreement have a reasonable expectation to privacy under the Fourth Amendment, the Supreme Court said Monday. John Oliver's Last Week Tonight took on the subject of Venezuela and sadly whiffed on identifying its basic problem. It's not about not saving oil revenue, it's not about bending the democratic process to political will, it's an excellent example of what happens when you destroy the market. President Trump's top health chief pushed back Monday against critics of the White House's drug pricing proposal, who had accused the president of moving away from a campaign pledge to allow Medicare to directly negotiate drug prices. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is unhappy about the Trump administration's plan to cut a deal with the Chinese tech company ZTE, calling it a bad deal. The U.S. Supreme Court on Monday paved the way for states to permit betting on sporting events by striking down a federal law that had effectively barred states from legalizing sports gambling. Washington, D.C., topped every state in a new study for having the biggest problems in terms of drug use and addiction. President Trump made big promises during his 2016 campaign about cleaning house at the Department of Veterans Affairs. Unfortunately, whether he realizes or not, things there have gotten much worse since he took office.